Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled, You Don't Always Need to Have an Opinion About Everything. I've been sitting with this thought for a while. People these days seem to feel this constant pressure to have an opinion about everything. It's like we've convinced ourselves that if something's happening, whether it's in the news, online, or just in our everyday lives, we're obligated to weigh in on it. But honestly, I think we need to normalize the idea that it's perfectly okay not to have an opinion. There's so much power in just letting things be and not feeling the need to throw your 2 cents into every conversation. Not every situation demands your commentary, and not every topic is worth getting worked up over. Sometimes it's better for your peace of mind to just take a step back and let it go. I feel like a lot of this pressure comes from wanting to fit in or feel relevant. People worry that if they don't have something to say, they'll come across as uninformed or disinterested. Maybe they think having an opinion makes them more engaging or more interesting in a conversation. And sure, I get that. No one wants to feel left out or like they don't have anything to contribute. But here's the thing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with staying quiet or saying, I don't really have a stance on that. In fact, I'd argue that it takes a certain kind of strength to admit you don't have an opinion. It shows that you're comfortable enough with yourself to not feel the need to insert yourself into everything. The truth is, there's so much value in being neutral. It's like giving yourself permission to just exist without the weight of constantly trying to decide how you feel about everything. We're surrounded by so much chaos already. Why add to it by forming opinions about every little thing? It's exhausting, and honestly, it's unnecessary. And yeah, I get it. We live in a country that values freedom of speech, and that's a beautiful thing. Here in the US, we're lucky to have the right to voice our thoughts. But just because you can say something doesn't mean you have to. That's a lesson that's been sinking in for me lately. It's one of those sayings that sticks with you. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And it's so true. There are plenty of things you're allowed to do legally or socially, but that doesn't mean they're always the right move. Opinions work the same way. Sometimes it's better to keep them to yourself. What I've noticed, though, is that a lot of people seem to have the strongest opinions about the smallest, most insignificant things. Like they'll get all worked up about something trivial and act like it's the end of the world. Not everything needs to be a debate or a hot take. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just sit back and let life happen. You don't always have to play an active role in every situation. There's a lot of peace in being a spectator, just observing what's going on around you without feeling the need to judge or take sides. It's like watching a movie or a play. You're there to watch the story unfold, not to rewrite the script or critique every scene. The problem with having too many opinions is that it can stir up unnecessary drama. The second you say, I think this, someone else is bound to say, well, I think that. And suddenly you're caught in a back and forth that didn't need to happen. And let's be real, most of the time, these debates don't lead to anything productive. They just create tension and put people on edge. Life is hard enough without adding more conflict over stuff that, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't even matter. Here's an example. Imagine you're at Taco Bell, just trying to enjoy your meal, and there's a guy swearing up a storm at the counter. He's loud, he's dropping thief bombs, and everyone in the restaurant is staring at him. Now, in that moment, you could form an opinion about him. You could think, what a jerk, or why can't people just behave in public? But what good would that do? It's not going to change his behavior, and all it does is add negativity to your day. Instead, you could just acknowledge what's happening, let it roll off your back, and move on. You don't have to let someone else's actions weigh you down. Sometimes it's better to just be a spectator, to observe, let it go, and keep your peace. And honestly, carrying too many opinions, especially negative ones, can really mess with your mental health. Think about it. If you're constantly forming negative thoughts about the world around you, that negativity is going to build up. Let's say you have opinions about 50 different topics in a day, and 40 of them are negative. That's a lot of emotional baggage to carry around. Over time, it's going to take a toll on your mindset and your overall well being. Opinions might seem harmless, but they're really just thoughts. And the more negative thoughts you have, the harder it is to stay positive and grounded. That's why I've been trying to be more mindful about the opinions I allow myself to have. I don't want my mind to get cluttered with negativity over things that don't even matter in the long run. Life is unpredictable, and things don't always go the way you want them to. That saying, "it is what it is," has been my mantra lately. Not every situation needs fixing, and not every moment needs analyzing. Sometimes the best thing you can do is accept what's happening and move forward. What I've realized too is that not enough people take the time to reflect. They don't pause to think about how their words or opinions might affect the people around them. It's like they're stuck on autopilot, just reacting to everything without really processing it. Reflection is so important. It's like hitting the pause button in a video game to check your stats and see where you've been. It helps you figure out what's working, what's not, and how you can improve. For me, reflection has become a big part of how I approach life. It helps me stay grounded and keeps me from getting too caught up in the noise. But at the end of the day, I know people are going to do what they want. Some folks just have to have an opinion about everything, and no amount of talking is going to change that. And yeah, it can be frustrating listening to people go on, but that's just how it is. Ranting about it might not change anything, but it does feel good to get it off your chest. And sometimes that's all you need, a moment to vent, let it out, and move on. Life's too short to get bogged down by every little thing. Sometimes the best thing you can do is sit back, be a spectator, and let the world unfold around you. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye for now.